class. Everybody here have a Facebook account?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. You're not alone. There are over 500 million Facebook users. It's a huge number considering Facebook launched in 2004. Facebook isn't solely responsible for the rise of social media, but it's paved this path of innovation that's made social media a part of our lives every day. Prior to Facebook, it would have been hard to conceive of a piece of technology, let alone just a website, that would play such a predominant role in such a rapid period of time. Not only has Facebook allowed us to connect with each other more efficiently, but I think it's prepared us to be receptive to future advances in technology. And after all, as consumers, it's something that we've come to demand. So enter Twitter. Anybody here, obviously you've heard of Twitter, anybody here use Twitter?
No.
On a daily basis? Okay, fantastic. Twitter's founders have dubbed the website an information network, not a social tool. It's got 175 million users. An additional 370,000 users are being added each day. The company was valued at $4.5 billion. So the point is, this company isn't just reaching critical mass, it's here to stay. And you know, I say to you, this isn't your last call, but the train is leaving, it's time to get on board, because you know, this is becoming more and more relevant every day. So today I'm going to talk about what is Twitter, how do we use it, how it functions, and why you should be using it personally, professionally, and in your business. So let's start with what is it, how do we use it? Like I said, Twitter's an information network. It's based on passing messages in real time. The messages are 140 characters or less. They function like text messages. And the messages are referred to as tweets. There's a couple scenarios here in how this happens. The first involves you and your followers. Followers are people that have been on your profile on Twitter, thought you were interesting, and decided to follow you. So anytime you tweet a message, that message is going to be obtained by those followers. The reciprocal of that is obviously people that you follow. Whenever they tweet, that message is going to show up on your Twitter timeline. And if you take a look at this, I have a quick screenshot. This is my page. You can see on the far right, that's just, there's some metrics there about followers, who's following me, who I'm following. This part here lists the tweets as they come in. Again, this is real time. Up here is where you punch in a message and send it out. You can see this side of it functions a lot like your Facebook news page. So assuming you have a new account, where do you start? I'm going to cheat here. I'm going to read this quote from Twitter Basics 101. It's reading tweets and discovering new information when you check in on your Twitter timeline is where you'll find the most value on Twitter. So what does that mean? What they're saying is, don't worry about what you're going to say. The real value in Twitter is cultivating a list of people and companies and things that you're interested in, following those people, and just being current on the information. Over time, as you start to read it, we'll go back here, as you start to read this, you'll pick up on the slang, you'll pick up on the way people are sharing information and communicating, and you'll sort of learn the language. And eventually, I think it's good to participate. You know, you can retweet, which is taking messages that you've gotten and retweeting, forwarding them onto your followers. You can obviously respond to tweets as they come in, or you can start supplying some of your own content. So now that we have sort of a general sense of how Twitter works, let's talk about why you should use it. The first one is Twitter for personal use. I've got a nice little collage here just of a few people that I follow. There's writers, athletes, companies, Lady Gaga, why not? What this has done essentially is taken out the middleman. Okay, I mean, you have literally direct access to these people. Anytime they want to say something, publish something, create something, you're getting it firsthand. You're not having to go through a third party that's going to filter that information. And the other thing that's been interesting to me on a personal level is you start to become invested in the people you follow. And I've got an example here. Sorry, it's not fitting the screen very well. But here's a guy named Ian Poulter. He's a professional golfer. I play a ton of golf. And I didn't particularly like this guy, but I started following him, and you kind of pick up on his personality, And now I can't get enough. I want to know where this guy's playing on a weekly basis. When he's on TV in tournaments, I'm watching him. And there's about a dozen guys on the tour like that. And it kind of makes me feel like an insider. Like I feel like I've got the backstory. So it makes it a lot more enjoyable to watch. So those are a couple of the personal reasons why I use Twitter. Moving on to professional and business reasons. I think we can all agree that it's really key to stay plugged into your industry. And we all have a lot of responsibilities. Sometimes within our jobs, we can get a little bit myopic and lose track of what's going on around us. So Twitter does a nice job of expanding your network of resources. As an example, I've got a guy here named Mark. He evidently works at Johnson & Johnson. And if we take a look at Mark's profile here, we can learn a little bit of information about him. I see he's got a website here. If I worked at Johnson & Johnson and I wanted to start following some people, he's a guy I might look at. I might click on the site, start reading what he has to say, who else is contributing to that blog. It could be interesting and relevant to my own career. The other thing that I would do is take a look at his followers and who he's following, and I would start scanning those lists and really picking out people that are relevant. And before you know it, you've developed this web of information. And like I said, that information is being pooled into a nice, tidy place on your Twitter feed. So I think professionally, it's a really efficient way to expand your level of knowledge. In terms of using Twitter as a business, it's a no-brainer. I mean, first of all, it's free. The other thing is, it's just another opportunity for you to create brand awareness. And that could be notifying people of new products, new services, sales and promotions, obviously. The other really nice thing about using Twitter as a business is keeping track of your competition. Competitive intelligence, you're always wanting to know what's going on around you so you know how to react to situations as they come up. If I take a look at Small World Coffee's profile here, it's a typical small business coffee shop in Princeton. If I look at the first few tweets here, you can see they're doing basically exactly what I said. They're notifying the public of an art opening. They're talking about giving you a deal on beverages. Up here, we're not going to see it now, but I did look at their following. And they're following coffee shops. They're not really following people, but all the coffee shops that they're following are in New York or they're in big cities, which tells me they're using those companies as benchmarks, and they want to see how they're communicating with their customers. So those are a couple reasons why I think it's important to use it as a business. So in conclusion, I just want to reiterate, I think Twitter is a website that's here to stay. Okay, it's a service that, based on its number of users and its expanding value, it's not just a social fad. It's a tool that you can use personally, professionally, in business, and you can expand your sphere of knowledge and really participate in the overall technological learning curve. And if I haven't done a good enough job convincing you to use Twitter, I'm going to leave you with this cartoon. I'll read the caption. Twitter makes me like people I've never met, and Facebook makes me hate people I know in real life. If somebody's looking to drill a little bit deeper in terms of using Twitter, you can hop on the wiki I have, and it's got a couple of videos just about tutorial type videos, and there's links in there about cultivating a following list and also using it in business. So that's all I've got. Thank you very much.